Hello, friends. Happy Saturday. I have about an hour to kill. I would be having something to drink, but I got to drive back across town in an hour and go pick up a kid from a movie. So I've been doing a lot of traveling lately and have not spent a lot of time on my YouTube channel. So I thought I would just see what's up. You know, I quit Twitter when Elon Musk bought it. It was already a cesspool anyway, and I feel like he made it worse. So I quit, but then I realized once I started doing this stuff on YouTube that I was missing parts of the conversation that were on X. So I'm now back on X. The only things I don't use it a lot. I check it, maybe once every few days just to see what's up. But the two people that I see doing a lot of hand waving and making a lot of hay are Jimmy Corsetti and this DeDunker guy, and they've been on Flint Dibble's case and doing other things. So I thought I would take a moment and go check out their channels and see what they are talking about. He's what a poor name for his channel. Okay, let's see what our friend Jim has been up to lately. Baalbek, Proof of Advanced Civilization. Well, that's an original one, isn't it? The Big Stones of Baalbek. Nobody's ever talked about that before. Disturbing Gunung Padang update. Mysterious ancient underwater quarry that should not exist. So that's Yonaguni. What you must know about ancient lost civilizations. Oh, I think that's the one I looked at before where he starts bringing up all the swastika stuff again. Göbekli Tepe update. At the risk of wanting to shoot myself.
If there was only one site on Earth that was actual tangible evidence of a mysteriously lost ancient advanced civilization that existed in our prehistoric past, the enigmatic site of Baalbek, Lebanon is arguably the most profound example above all else. And although there are other ancient sites around the world that are evidence of a lost civilization, by the end of this video you will see why Baalbek is literal proof of it. And I had the great privilege of visiting this site last.
Sure you did. Let's go to where everybody else has been watching.
Protect your savings now.
Oh, he's hawking gold and silver. Okay, what are we going to talk about? The big rocks, how they couldn't have possibly moved a big rock,
the
right?
largest stone monoliths ever quarried in human history are also found at this site. And below this stone, and is estimated at over 1600s.
Okay,
and is officially the largest stone ever moved by humans. It started at a weight of 1,500 tons and was gradually carved down to 1,250 tons by the end of its move. And this example is used by many to suggest that the ancients, such as the Romans, could surely have moved massive stones in a similar fashion, seeing as people were able to do so in the late 1700s. However, when you research the nuanced details, you quickly find out that this is not even remotely comparable. Besides the fact that it took 400 men a whopping 9 months to move over a relatively short distance, but here's the thing. They moved the Thunderstone with technological means that were not available to the Romans.
Saying that moving the Thunderstone just demonstrates that people can move things without trucks and cranes and stuff like that, is a perfectly valid example. And to take that and say, well, because the Romans didn't have the exact technologies that they used to move that big rock, they couldn't have possibly moved a big rock, is just absolutely idiotic. There is more than one way to move a big rock. You can look at all of these ancient ruins and see that that is a fact. These things were moved. They were moved long distances by human power and human ingenuity. And for you to say, their technology wasn't even comparable to what they had to move the Thunderstone, and therefore, what, aliens, levitation, some kind of sonic juju ray, what are you getting at here? It's so silly that you immediately go to, you just want to factor out people and how they can solve problems. And you want to have the exact same case demonstrated for you and photographed and written out before you will believe that somebody managed to move a really big goddamn rock. And they did it over and over and over again. And because you can't figure it out, therefore, it has to be impossible. There has to be something that we are not being told that people are keeping from us. I mean, It's ridiculous. You know what you guys sound like? Let's just let him continue on with what he's going to say about the DeDunker
channel for bringing these facts to my attention. He has quickly become my favorite YouTube channel and is a wealth of little known information. And
I think this DeDunker guy is full of it, but I will tell you what, you are right, Jimmy Corsetti. He is light years ahead of you in his ability to do independent work and say something interesting. So far, I have not seen Jimmy Corsetti actually say one interesting thing that somebody else didn't tell him. I don't think the guy has ever put a shovel in the ground. I don't think he could define half of the terms that he uses. He knows nothing about archaeology. As I've said before, I feel like most of his videos should be subtitled, "I have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about," because that would be the most appropriate way for the algorithm to categorize them and get them to the people that really need to see Jimmy Corsetti's videos. They're all nonsense. I haven't seen anything worthwhile from this guy at all. But apparently 1.64 million of you think that he's awesome, and you want to know what he has to say. So good luck.
In a recent video and shared the little known fact that it is a prehistoric symbol that has been inexplicably
Little known fact that is all over the internet and that is not an original idea of yours at all. Sure.
Found on 5 continents around the world and dates back approximately 10,000 years. It's been found in Europe, Asia, Africa, South America, and even throughout Native American tribes of North America 2,200 years ago. Never mind for a moment the modern association of it, which was stolen and bastardized, and focus on the very fact that it is a profoundly ancient.
There, he did it again. So I did a video about this, which I called BS on. It's a piece that's in a museum somewhere. I emailed the museum, got no answer, want to know more about this. I don't think this is a Hopewell artifact at all. The only 2 times I've ever seen it are on this museum. Well, I've seen it 3 times now. I've seen it on this museum website. I've seen it in Jimmy Corsetti's videos, and I've seen it in Robert Sepper's videos. So if that's a Hopewell artifact, you're going to have to show me how you know that, because I don't think it is. But you want to keep on using it as an example, and you wonder why people don't take you seriously. Let's see what DeDunker has been DeDunking. Lies in Science, Call to Action, Journal of Astronomy and Culture. Clovis controversy you haven't heard before. I watched part of it. Oh, he's talking about the East Wenatchee. I'm not sure what the angle is, but you know, I did a video on this. The East Wenatchee cache was a deposit of Clovis artifacts that was found down inside one of these channels in the channel scablands. It was an intact deposit, and it pretty much single-handedly falsifies Randall Carlson's notion that all of these large landscape modifications made by water there were made at the same time, that were caused by some kind of impact and all the floodwater coming out that wiped out Clovis. So he and Graham Hancock, that one site, there are many other things that falsify that narrative, but the East Wenatchee cache is a great one. And I will tell you what, if Dan the DeDunker here is going to talk about the East Wenatchee cache, why doesn't he tie it to the channeled scablands? Does he do that in this video? I don't know. It would be a problem if he didn't, right? Because he gets very upset at people omitting things. Why are debunkers archaeologists so angry? I don't know. Oh, he's got a picture of John Hoops there. That's classy. Discussing the debate with bright insight.
Jimmy Corsetti and myself recently did a hangout on his channel, Bright Insight.
You were the guy that helped expose a lot of inaccuracies that Flint had shared. Why don't we dive into that? People are here. They want to know. So,
you know, these guys. So what I absorbed on Twitter about this is, you know, that the debate between Graham Hancock and Flint Dibble was like 4 hours or something like that. I don't know how many hundreds of slides got flashed up there. Dibble says a couple things. He talks about the number of shipwrecks that have been found and how none of them date to this, you know, supposed Ice Age civilization. In other words, we've got plenty of well-preserved ships underwater. We're finding those. So how come if there's this ancient maritime civilization during the Ice Age that we haven't found any ships related to that? That was his point. I believe he misspoke on the numbers of shipwrecks or the numbers that had been discovered or documented or whatever. So these guys like to make hay about that. But the point that any normal person could absorb that he was trying to make is that there are a heck of a lot of shipwrecks out there, and none of them are part of this Atlantean empire. None of them. So that's something that you guys need to explain. You can go, complain about the numbers, or that he said something wrong, or they didn't explain the slide, or you can even say that he misrepresented the numbers, which I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. But to completely look past that point and declare victory is absolutely ridiculous, and you should be embarrassed. Another thing is with the metallurgy. Flint said something like, there's no evidence. We know that there wasn't advanced metallurgy during the Ice Age, and he flashed up some slides again. And without going into the videos to see all the details, apparently no one has actually done the studies where they look at the ice core data and they go, yeah, we have checked here for advanced metallurgy in the Ice Age, and there isn't any. All kinds of metals show up because they get entrained, because they're in dust or whatever when landscapes are barren, and they circulate in the atmosphere and they get deposited or whatever. Again, the point is that there is no positive evidence for metallurgy during the Ice Age. And in other periods where there is a lot of metallurgy, we can see it in the ice cores. Can we not? Or am I missing something? That's the point. So if you want to nitpick somebody, the way he said something in a 4-hour debate that you guys, and by you guys, I mean Graham Hancock, was not prepared for at all, because he's not a deep enough thinker to have ever thought of lines of independent evidence that would tend to support or refute his idea. He's just going around cherry picking things like Yonaguni and going, look, that looks like something to me. Like that's his best case. Not like, well, you know what? If there was an advanced civilization during the Ice Age, what did they eat? We should have evidence for those plants. Was there metallurgy? Sure, because that's what Plato says. So what kind of evidence would we look for that? What about all the ships they had? Should we find shipwrecks, related to all that seafaring technology? Doesn't ask those questions, because you know what the answer is? There's none. There's no positive evidence whatsoever. So if you want to try to catch Flint and Dibble up in quote unquote a lie, and then get everybody angry and like writing letters, and I did absorb this, that people were like writing letters trying to get him fired. Like, you guys are a couple of clowns, and you're children. You're acting like children. Trump did an interview with some kind of person on YouTube or something. He's out there heavy duty campaigning.
Well, today is going to be the most important stream I've ever done, first of all.
Wow.
And I want to say thank you for doing this, seriously.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Get some good ratings today.
We're going to get some good ratings. Everyone thought this was going to be fake today, but we proved them wrong. So.
No.
What
here we go.
does a fascist mean?
It means you are a far right authorization ultra analyst political ideology movement characterized by dictator leadership, centralized autocracy, militarism, forcible suppression of opposition. So I don't know what that means, bro. I swear to God, I don't know what the fuck a fascism is. I don't know what the fuck that is. Benito Mazzulli and Giviante Gentile and Jason Stanley. Like, who the fuck are these people, bro? Never heard of my fucking life.
Back to the DeDunker. I wanted to find that again because A, I think it's hilarious, and B, that guy has 4.5 million followers. He's a quote unquote influencer or whatever. Appears to be somewhat illiterate, gets an interview with the president, has no idea what he's talking to, doesn't understand, apparently can't read very well. That is how some of you people come across in your videos. I hate to tell you, you don't know what you're talking about, and it is as painfully obvious to those of us who do this sort of thing and who study this sort of thing for a living. It is as painfully obvious as it is to a normal, literate person watching that Aiden Ross struggle. That's how bad it is. I'm sorry if the truth hurts. What else has DeDunker been talking about here? New information on an ancient map. What is pseudo-archaeology? Blah, 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 blah. John Hoops corrupts Wikipedia. Open letter to society. You could see I've watched some of these, but this was a while ago. Summer goes by quickly. There's a lot of stuff to do. Here's the one about me, which I already responded to that. Lots of inaccuracies, mischaracterizations, misrepresentations in there. Let's take a look at this open letter to the Society for American Archaeology.
The letter we sent to most alternate historians have some sort of an issue with archaeologists. Now, I don't mean archaeology as a science, not the field itself. I mean the scientists, archaeologists. And from the outside, that distinction's probably kind of silly, right?
Is it just me, or does he give off, a little bit of a J.D. Vance vibe?
It is the weirdest thing to me. Democrats say that it is racist to believe, well, they say it's racist to do anything. I had a Diet Mountain Dew yesterday and one today. I'm sure they're going to call that racist too, but it's good. I love you guys.
I guess I'm thinking back to the video he made about me where he was so upset that one could talk or would mention the fact that a lot of the history of modern thought about Atlantis, has racist threads running through it, and some of it still does. Took a lot of offense at that. Believe it or not, Virginia, there is such a thing as racism, and it was the dominant mode of thought in the 1800s. So if you're going to err on either side, I would err on the side of assuming or presuming or guessing that the people who are writing science, literature, whatever, in the mid-1800s, if they're white Europeans, they were probably racist. If you put your dollar down on that every time and spin randomly through the world, you will come out ahead money-wise. Guarantee it. Not everybody, but a lot of people. And if you protest too much about that, that's on you, I guess.
I mean, if you're into prehistory, why wouldn't you trust the people that are best informed to tell you about prehistory via material remains? But if you are into alternate history, you are well aware that guys like Graham Hancock they try to deplatform him using all kinds of underhanded tactics, lying about what he says, misrepresenting his position, conflating him with white supremacy, just all.
Deplatforming Graham Hancock. That's funny coming from somebody who seems to be trying to make a name for himself by going after Flint Dibble to such an extent that people are apparently trying to get him fired. Which, to the DeDunker's credit, he does a video where he says, don't do that. But still, one thing that comes up for me when I watch videos like this, a lot of people on the alternative, quote unquote fringe side, they get upset if people don't pay attention to their ideas or their thoughts or what they want to say about prehistory. And we don't give it the same kind of weight as ideas from professionals. So they get upset if they feel ignored. When you do pay attention to them and you say, listen, this is wrong, this makes no sense, and here is why, then they get upset also. So what they really want, I think, is for everyone to agree with them. They want to be treated very nicely. They want to play by a different set of rules. And I know what he's going to say in this letter because I watched most of this video. So maybe we'll just play it.
All kinds of crap to do, basically anything they can do to deplatform him, they do. So it becomes very obvious that there's some archaeologists out there that are just completely untrustworthy. So
some archaeologists out there that are completely untrustworthy because they try to deplatform Graham Hancock. I think when people are saying, you know what, 95% of what he's got in this show or this book is total garbage, he can write any book that he wants, as far as I'm concerned. He's got a show on Netflix. I don't. I'm just some guy in my basement with 1,300 subscribers, and my videos don't get very many views. But I will tell you what, I am right about a lot of things, and he is wrong about a lot of things. I'm not right about everything, but it's...
When I myself make a video pointing out one of these archaeologists likes to lie a lot.
Likes to lie a lot. Oh my goodness, Dan. Come on, man. What's your letter to the SAAs? What have you got to say to the Society for American Archaeology that is so very important?
Has led to science.
Let me just skim through here and see what I would imagine that on both personal and professional level, the inability to usurp the grasp that alternate historians have on the public must be extremely frustrating for archaeologists trying to challenge them. You know what, dude? The reason I talk about this stuff is because I think you guys are actually doing a lot of damage with your conspiracy theories and with your nonsense. And yes, a lot of it is tied to racism, particularly white supremacy. And you can follow those threads back through the past. They're pretty well documented. If you don't want to see that, that's fine. But there is a danger in it. There is a danger in presenting fantasy as reality. And again, not to get too political, but if you talk about Mr. Alternative Facts, our ex-president who lies every single chance he gets and the facts don't matter, that's the way I see a lot of this alternative history. It's not all fun and games. When fantasy gets embedded at a level where it becomes the basis for making policy, eventually we're here. It can't be easy trying to counter the fantastic with the mundane. This certainly will create emotional moments. Blah, 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 blah. Say things that are disparaging. So it is not uncommon to see professional archaeologists who are actively attempting to educate the interested amateur say things that are disparaging, often as an immediate reaction to a question that sounds like alternative history. I believe this is not only damaging the reputation of archaeologists in general, but also demonstrates the lack of awareness that some of those doing public outreach bring to the table. Ultimately, is a missed opportunity. That's a sentence fragment. The answer, as I see it, is twofold. The Society for American Archaeology should make it policy for archaeologists who are attempting to publicize science and debunk alternative historians to, well, this will be good. What are we supposed to do, Dan? Accept that often they will have to leave some mystery intact when debunking a claim and refrain from personal attacks. Okay. So that's rich. The level of personal attacks that we have seen against Flint and Dibble because he did a good job against your guy who came to that debate unprepared is really something. And you want us to leave some mystery intact when debunking a claim. So if you come to me and say, the sun rises in the west and sets in the east, that is your claim. You don't want me to say, no, that's actually wrong. It's the complete opposite. And here's proof, and here's observations, and here are empirical data, and here's why. I can explain why that happens. You want me to leave some mystery intact. What do you want me to say? Well, most of the time, it seems to rise in the east and set in the west, but I can see where you're coming from, and that would be a really fascinating thing if that happened. When people come to me with an idea, or even something that they think is an artifact, and I know it to not be an artifact, I actually do treat that very gently. Like I'm aware of this. But if you're coming at me with something like, well, here's a Roman sword from Nova Scotia. It's 100% confirmed. And Dan, I don't know whether you're familiar with this case or not. I'm not leaving any of that intact. Why should I? It's a complete fabrication. It is based on a total lie. I do not care about the feelings of the person who is lying on purpose to make money, sell books, to get himself on TV, or whatever. It's interesting to me that you want somebody like Flint Dibble to get every nuance of the research that he's talking about, even though it's not his research. He learned and prepared for that debate out of respect for the topic and the forum. And he did the best job he could, and he did a darn good job. you're going to nitpick, he showed this figure at the wrong time. He misspoke here. He had the wrong verb. The grammar suggested this. He didn't back off fast enough. He was mean. Those are the rules you want us to play by, right? We are supposed to have every single duck in a line. We are supposed to be responsible for every single absolutely correct fact about all of world history and prehistory. Somehow we have to have an encyclopedic knowledge and a command of everything at our fingertips to be able to tell you exactly what is correct, or else you'll make tons and tons of videos. You'll go on Twitter screaming and throwing a temper tantrum like a little baby. That's what you want from us. What you also want from us is that we should leave some mystery intact for you. We should put on our soft velvet gloves and, handle very gently this delicate, fragile egg that has your ego in it. Because we don't want to alienate the poor fan of alternative prehistory. And as I said before, I agree with you on some level. There are a lot of people out there who are just interested in this stuff, and we as human beings know how to treat those people. You and Jimmy Corsetti are not those people. You are not those people. You are something completely different, and you are going to get treated differently. It is asinine to say that, you know what? We are going to play hardball with you actual academic archaeologists. We are going to expect flawless military precision with every fact and every statement and everything you say, or else we're going to write letters to your employer. That's the game we're going to play with you, but we want you to play softball with us. We want to get out the wiffle ball. We want you to throw it to us very gently with a nice underhand so we can just whack it out of the park and feel good about ourselves. And we're all playing the same game. We're all talking about prehistory and ancient civilizations, but you guys have a totally different set of rules that you need to play by. You need to treat us kindly and with respect as to not alienate us. And I'll tell you what, when somebody comes up to me, I give a talk at say a local library. They come up to me, they have something that's not an artifact, or they have some idea about how they thought, Native American societies in their region did this or that or the other. I will listen to them and have a very respectful conversation. I will try to learn something from them just as I'm trying to teach them something. I know how to talk to people. That's not what you guys are doing. That's not what you guys are doing at all. You are operating in a completely different realm than that. And if you want us to throw you softballs so that you can then charge the mound and beat us with your baseball bat, that's not the game that anybody here is going to play. I'm sorry. So that's kind of ridiculous, and it strikes me as, I'm going to make another political allusion. It's very snowflakey to preach about how we should be treating those that basically take the entire discipline of archaeology and say, where's a crack here that I can make a buck off of, at the expense of real prehistory, real knowledge about the human past, real ideas that are supported by real evidence and real logical thought and induction and deduction. Where's the crack in there that I can make a buck and make some hay? I'll tell you honestly, the reason why I think so many professional archaeologists don't want to engage with guys like Dan DeDunker and Jimmy Corsetti is because most of the ideas are on their face stupid. And, they're the Aiden Ross definition and pronunciation of fascism. That's what they are. Like, that's how dumb they are. You're lucky anybody wants to talk to you at all about this stuff, and somebody like Flint goes in to talk to Graham Hancock and explain and actually very polite and well-researched and for the most part, very well-presented set of arguments as to why Graham Hancock's ideas and claims do not hold water. And you guys get out the baseball bat. If you know, if people like Corsetti and Dan DeDunker learn nothing from that debate, then they are beyond hope. You guys should have to answer some basic questions before anybody talks about stupid, you know, the ancient technologies and the grooves and the holes, and you can't move a big rock and all this kind of stuff. What did the people eat? Why aren't there any shipwrecks? Why is there no evidence of metallurgy? Do some hard thinking and answer some basic questions, and stop just trying to make dumb videos to get a bunch of views. I don't know if any of the rest of this is worth. What do we got here? Missed opportunity. Pressure Netflix into Graham. You know, I still haven't actually watched Ancient Apocalypse because I just figured it was the same stuff that was in his book. Definitely brought up, not comments, blah, blah, blah. As a matter of fact, I happily call myself a pseudoscientist. As I form a hypothesis, research it enough to satisfy myself, and then share my conclusions with others. That's not the definition of pseudoscience. It's not my definition of pseudoscience. I would say that you're pretending to do science, which I don't disagree with you that you are a pseudoscientist, but I'm not even sure that you're pretending to do science. I don't know. Forming a hypothesis, researching it enough, you know, to satisfy myself, and then sharing my conclusions. I guess if you wanted to be a scientist in there, you'd have to like look at alternatives and try to develop independent lines of evidence and figure out how to figure out whether you're right or wrong, and not just assume that you're right because you've satisfied yourself by finding things that fit. That's the problem. By not following the same rigorous processes an archaeologist would, I am engaging in a form of pseudo-archaeology. Hope to see better outreach from the SAA in the future. I am dubious that that's what he really wants, but whatever. All right, I gotta go pick up a kid in like half an hour, so I'm gonna call it. I've probably rambled on here enough. Another Saturday night wasted. But anyway, hope you guys have a good one out there. Bye-bye.
I love you guys.